I'm here today with Senior Mass Communications and Psychology double major with a minor in art, Assistant Manager of the radio station,
Correct.
Richard Graves. Thanks for joining us here today, Richard.
Thanks for having me, Blake.
It's my pleasure to talk with you today. How did you first become interested in working with the campus radio station?
Well, every time I get asked this question, and I get asked it a lot, I kind of come up with a different answer. One of my earliest memories, I think, of listening to the radio, and I was actually asked the same question from the psychology department, how did I get interested in psychology? And one of the answers is the same for both. And when I was really little, when I was going to bed, I guess not really little, but I always listened to Loveline when I was going to bed, and that kind of fostered my interest in radio and in psychology, even though it's more of an entertainment-based program. Then as I grew up, I started listening to this station in Atlanta called 99X, and I heard a lot of bands that are my favorite bands now for the first time. I first discovered like alternative, 90s rock music, and the radio was kind of the main instrument for me learning about music and kind of fostering my interest in that. So radio was always a big part of my life, and when I got here, I met Dr. Lauder when I came to tour, and I was like, well, I have no idea what I'm going to do. She's like, yeah, well, I'm not going to push you in any direction. But we have this mass comm major, and she kind of got me to take a class, and I liked it, and that was my, first of the 3 academic pursuits was mass communications, and that's the one that I've been in the longest, and that I still do, and that I work in the radio station with.
What was Loveline?
Loveline, it was the show, Adam Carolla from The Man Show and Dr. Drew, who does Celebrity Do Drugs or whatever the show is. Before they had all these other shows and before Loveline was a TV show, it was a radio talk show where people called in about their problems, questions about sex and relationships and things that psychologists could answer. And it was not really, now that I've had some more psychology, it wasn't so much real academic conversation. It was more entertainment, but there's some psychology in there, and I thought it was really interesting, how hormones interacted with, people's behavior and how the environment deals with them and all these different problems people have in their relationships. So it was a talk show, but it was more entertainment, and I really enjoyed that. It was one of the first radio programs I listened to.
How often does psychology and radio interact on a day-to-day basis?
Well, what I've learned, and you can even throw art in there too and ask me how art, radio, and psychology interact, and I say maybe this is just me from my viewpoint, but I think they're inseparable. Psychology with anything is inseparable, and what psychology is pretty much the study of behavior and the study of relationships, depending on what branch of psychology you're in. And whether you're doing on-air, you're doing promotions, or you're doing sales, if you're trying to sell something, you have to have psychology. You have to be able to interact with people. You have to either be able to sell your radio station. If you're doing on-air, you have to be able to sell yourself. So it's really essential to have at least some knowledge of research in psychology.
How are you currently working at selling 90.7, the Emory Henry station?
Oh, there's been a lot of changes since I came in my freshman year and worked with the station. Are you all right?
I'm all right.
You want me to get you some water?
I'm all right.
Good?
Thanks, though.
No problem. Right now, we have just gotten a signal increase this past semester, which is a huge deal for us. It was about a 100-watt station, and we got a 500-watt increase. And we've applied to the FCC for an additional signal increase, which we think we're going to get, and that would cover the whole Tri-Cities area almost up to Wytheville. And the way radio works is if the tower's on top of, like a hill, you can get more of a line of sight and get more area covered. Since this is a mountainous region,
right.
We can get more out of that original 100-watt signal than other schools could. And now that it's 500 watts and it will be even bigger, that's great. We're also streaming now, which is a huge deal. And if you go to the campus internet news site, EHC-wired, that's www.ehcwired.com, you can listen online to whatever's playing on air as if you were in your car and you had the radio on at that time, including my show or any of these other great programs that we have now.
Which is called?
My show is Dead Air, and it's on 90.7 FM, and the streaming's on the internet. And it's Dead Air, and it's a complete free format radio station. I love 99X. I love listening to the other stations, but you just can't hear what you can hear on a college station anywhere else in commercial radio. We have no commercials outside of some PSAs and some promos for other shows, but I have a completely free format program I'll do news, I'll do movie reviews, I'll talk about current issues, I'll play anything from Buddy Holly to Neil Diamond to the Pixies to Smashing Pumpkins, anything, you know, from classical to metal. You just don't know what you'll hear when you turn on my show, and I think that's great. And it's harder in commercial radio to have a station like that because people want to know if you're selling advertisement time on the air. They want to know exactly who's going to be listening. They want to know who their target demographic is, and they want the station's format to suit them. But for my show, it, you know, matches everyone. I guess the best audience for someone listening to my show is someone just like me, and I feel like I share lots of different interests with all kinds of people. So I feel like anyone can tune in and get something out of it.
What other shows are playing on 90.7?
Well, I'm glad you asked. There's, you know, a huge variety. There's many other students that are a lot like me that do free format music and talk shows. A lot of professors and community members are also involved now. Dr. Winger has another free format talk and music show. We've got David St. Clair as a community member, and Steve Fisher, who used to be in charge of the Appalachian Center. They're doing shows on social justice. Linda Dobkins, Dr. Dobkins, is doing a show on economics, which I would never would be thinking about a month ago I'd be listening to, but now with all the stuff in the news about economics, you know, I need something to let me know what's going on. There's all kinds of shows, other faculty members. There's a musical theater show called That's Entertainment that April Berteau does. There's a celebrity gossip show called The Black Perez that LaShawn Bell, a theater student, does. Our programming, the faculty, student, and community programming comes on from 1 to 4 and then from 7 to 11. And the rest of the time is filled up with, you know, talk radio, the Diane Rehm shows, you know, nationally syndicated shows, Fresh Air that my show is kind of a pun off of, among other things. So there's all kinds of different shows you can come on, a lot of NPR-based programming, then a lot of just, you know, rock radio, stuff that you're used to hearing on college radio.
Absolutely.
So all kinds of programs, and, you know, I almost feel guilty picking and choosing some ones to talk about because every single show, every night's completely unique. It has its own flavor, whether it be a blues show, a talk show, current events show. It's a pretty wonderful mix of things that you wouldn't find on commercial radio, and really in most college stations as well.
Well, we appreciate your time today and coming in and speaking with us.
No problem.
It was great talking to you.